Welcome back to the Premier Squad podcast. I'm your host, Jerome. Today, we'll be going through a few different of our shows. In our first segment, we'll be going over The Boys. I am joined by my co host, Ken, and we'll have a guest with us starting off today, James. If we'd like to get right into it, Ken, with our pros and cons, favorite scene, and our score out of 10, get us
Okay.
off.
Yeah. So overall, I mean, of course, when it comes to The Boys, the acting, the writing, and the pacing is, of course, always very well done. The plot is always very well written. For me, some of the pros, Soldier Boy, number one. Again, like, when you talk about Homelander, you're talking about one of the best characters that has been
Hmm.
introduced, I think, in our space.
Yeah.
So when you can introduce a character, in my opinion, that has competing presence and aura, I think that's
Yeah.
actually fantastic. And you can see why he would have gotten his own show. So I definitely say that's a positive. Favorite scene, of course, it's the final season. So we've been promised a lot
Hmm.
of deaths, a lot of big ones. For me, so I have two. The Homelander A Train chasing.
Yeah.
Again, I thought they really delivered on the death. I
Yeah.
myself love speedsters and those type of action scenes, so I thought that was very well done. I thought A Train went out basically the best way to go out.
Hmm.
Second favorite scene, again related to Soldier Boy, was the Soldier Boy versus Marathon Man. And what I really
Yeah.
liked about
Yeah.
that,
There we
again, like, and
go.
it's not just Soldier Boy, but
Hmm.
like in speedsters, but again, when you see all these characters that have powers in the show, they don't have skill. Like, they aren't superheroes, they are
Yeah.
product. But Soldier Boy is actually a very skilled strategic soldier. So like when he's in that mansion, he's in real danger. Like, there are
Yeah.
powerful people there, and he's able to
Yeah.
really just utilize a speedster just to take everyone out. And it's just really cool to see that in a show where there aren't many skilled, powered individuals. And Homelander doesn't
Yeah.
necessarily have any skill either. He just has god tier power. So that was really cool. Getting into some cons, I think things always have felt a bit repetitive for me in the last few
Yeah.
seasons. Again, I mean, like, it's Homelander. I know he has like new goals, and it's the boys are a thorn in his side. It just seems not necessarily recycled, but very, very repetitive.
Hmm.
And far as my next con, closure. This is the finale of what I feel has been a great show. And those
Yeah.
first few episodes, I felt the closure there, but these last few episodes felt like strong episodes, but not that grand closure that
We're
I was
tying up
expecting.
tying up ends that we've had ongoing through these 5 seasons, right?
Yes, yes, and maybe that can change. Maybe that'll change. Like with the last few episodes, we have 3 episodes left, and then one last positive for me is Oh Father. Again, like, you always have like these
Yeah.
heavyweight characters, and he just got introduced. So this uh, priest that's a part of this, and I don't even know what his powers are, which I think like is actually just as fascinating. But I just love David Diggs' performance, and the
Yeah.
way that the character is written.
Yeah.
Again, now you're talking about like the church. Obviously, you go from Congress and the church, just a lot of like big things, and I think he's beautifully representing the church.
Yeah. I think
Those
I
are all my
think his
thoughts.
voice comes off too as like takes like a slightly demonic tone, not overdone, but
Right.
when it starts portraying out and going through the audience, like yeah, it changes significantly. So it's I can see where you're coming from with that.
You think he has mind power, like some type of mind
I
telepathy or
know,
something?
right? I felt like when I first heard him speak that it was potentially swaying the audience in what he's saying.
Right.
As the figurehead of a church, that's what they're engaged to do in a way. Not in a bad way, but if they kind of leaned into that, I could totally see that being a part of it. The way, like, if you're in front of him, you hear it, and it makes you just believe it just a little bit more, just a little bit more.
That's
So I
cool.
can I can hear in that.
I thought he had
Anything else?
powers like Black Canary.
No.
Yeah,
The canary cry.
Yeah, I was like,
Justice League
oh, that's
Unlimited. But anything else, Ken?
No, I got a few other things, but I think it's better to tackle that for the
Yeah.
discussion.
All right, James, on to you.
Yeah, it's actually I echo a lot of Ken's points, and I'm
Hmm.
as you're talking about this, I'm trying to think of any way I could like kind of play devil's advocate to any of these, but I really cannot. My positive is for sure almost anything and everything with Soldier Boy. A lot of what kind of fell flat for me last season is not having Soldier Boy there.
Okay.
I think it hurt the show a little bit when you introduce such, as Ken said, a dynamic and powerful force amongst other dynamic powerful forces, and to be able to hold the screen and have that kind of presence, it speaks both to the writing and our supernatural veterans acting ability.
Hmm.
Let me think. Like my favorite scene would probably be the end scene for this past episode. I really like the
Right there with
visual,
you. Yep. Hmm.
but it also ties into my negative, which is the point Ken made about things being stale, and it's like kind of like we're going in circles with a couple,
Yep.
especially with everything with the boys proper.
The
Uh,
boys. Yeah.
yeah, there's nothing. I really don't have anything to say about any of those characters or their storylines, and
Yeah.
that's a problem when you have a show that's supposed to be named after them. These are our heroes, but the more dynamic and interesting storylines have to do with the superhero government standees that we have, the
Yep.
implosion of the seven,
Yeah.
and how, if there's something for me to like nitpick, it would be Homelander kind of feeling stale as well,
Yeah.
because he does seem to be a little more, just more of the same, and that's why we have to have all these other dynamic elements around him. Oh, Father, the brief time we got with Marathon Man, I thought
Hmm.
was great. It was just some of my favorite stuff. Taking my love of Supernatural out of it. But yeah, I think I went over best scene, things I liked, things I didn't
Hmm.
like, and I can't score this yet until the end, I assume. So, or no.
Okay. No problem. So for me, when it comes to the pros, just to jump it back to the beginning, because this has stuck with me throughout, the set design going into the final season was amazing to me. I really loved the intern camp matched with capitalism. And you bring this together, and everybody's wearing red, white, and blue sweaters and stuff like that as their internment attire. So I really appreciated that and everything that they set up there. The like echoes of freedom that went throughout the camp is just a hilarious juxtaposition amongst what our characters were in at that time. And then the Deeps podcast on there and all the different signage he had in the background with all the male masculinity stuff, I think was just hilarious. Like I would just love to just be in there with the set designers to see as they're like, what do we put? What words do we put up there? How do we, make it look like this superhero government has really taken a turn authoritarian and for the worse is kind of degraded slowly. So I've really appreciated that. I really want to talk about Anthony Starr's performance. I think him encapsulating the whole God ideal has been an amazing echo and kind of built upon, like you guys were saying, it's very similar, and I'll touch on that in the cons, but he's really embodied what it is to like fully believe with the standout that he is being as powerful as he is, as we know, violence is like the supreme authority when it comes to everything, and he has that over everybody right now. So for him to kind of go through his mental state and start to believe in his own milk, um, and see himself as a god, I've really appreciated that. And then when it comes to a lot of the smaller scenes, one of my cons really quickly is exactly what you guys are talking about. I feel like we're in this muck and every character has been poisoned by it, where we're kind of all just very similar characters. No one, what felt like more individual characters in the very beginnings of the seasons. Now I feel like kind of everybody feels the same. Everybody's kind of talking the same. Even Kimiko, coming out from being silent to now her voice is just kind of mimics everybody's kind of language throughout the show. So that's one of mine. But within that, it's the small scenes. So a couple of them, like when we focus on terror in the most recent episode, and he for the first time, I feel like in all of the boys, Butcher actually cares about something else besides killing Homelander because his dog ate some chocolate and is about to puke. So I just like that little moment of like them coming together to focus on something outside of their goal and the muck that they've kind of gone through into the final season. I've appreciated that. And then like Seth Rogen and that whole group of characters, once again, you're seeing like an impact of the universe that they're in. And I really appreciated being able to see them kind of sit around and talk about what do we do as actors in this situation with the government the way that it is, the way that the star letters are being brought out. How do we navigate that? So that small scene was really good. And then going into a little bit, a couple more of the cons. I kind of written this down previously and it was touched upon in this episode, but Sister Sage's character, I feel like really needs a payoff. And they literally touched on that in this most recent episode. I felt like she did a really good job in her step up to the plate when we focused in on her and her discussions with Ashley. Ashley said it to like, they're just really, I think, going in the right direction, hopefully trying to pay her off in some sort of way with her intelligence. I feel like she's had a lackluster impact this season. So I really want to see that pay off for her in some big scene as we get closer and closer to the end. My favorite scene, very small, kind of like James was talking about, that final scene where Firecracker gets her head as this podcaster for the Truth Bomb gets implanted into the wing of an eagle statue. Like I appreciated that, but it's not that. It's right before that when she's talking to him and trying to lather him up and appreciate him. And she's like, she drops a man. And I felt like amazing. Like, I don't know if that was probably written to the script, but the way Anthony Starr delivers man question mark, like is that whole embodiment of how he's progressed into this God complex character. So
Jerome,
overall, yeah, what's up? It's okay.
when he said man, do you think that's when it was over for her? Or was his plan always just to kill her? Like, was there ever an opportunity for her to convince him, or was that
Yeah.
decision already made?
So his mental state right now, I feel like flip-flops between people living and dying. And I feel like that plays right into his God complex because he realizes that he just at any given time for almost everyone on this show, except for like kind of Stan pointed out his mental like daddy issues. He can just end your life or continue to let you live in his world. So I feel like it just goes back and forth. Like I wouldn't be surprised if inside his head it had flipped back and forth several times throughout that conversation. If she says man, she's dead. She lathers up a little bit more. She said, or he thinks, okay, maybe I'll let her live a little bit longer to serve me. And then just gets in his own head is like, wait, I cannot like, I think it gets getting closer and closer. And I think you kind of saw this with Ryan too, where like him swinging on his son was like a big, like, okay, he really believes he's really drinking his own milk now, you know, his own mother's milk. And that kind of sets up into he's kind of just erring now on the side of I'm just going to end you in his God complex association or disassociation from reality that he's going through. Um, so yeah, I think that's a good point. But yeah, back to just the score for me right now is probably about a 7.7. Is like we go about the muck of everything, and like you guys touched upon the boys proper, it being lackluster, and I feel more engaged on the other side of the show right now.
I think he was going to let her live because he told her pack her bags. Like I kind of feel a little different. I
Hmm.
think he thinks that she's so insignificant that he does like initially tell her you pack your bags. She calls him man. He's like,
Hmm. What?
"Hmm." He pauses, but he continues to talk. It's when she says something along the lines of God needs love too, or something
I
like that.
agree.
Yeah. Okay.
That's
That's what I
where
was
it's
going to
kind of
say
like
too. Yep.
the straw that broke the camel's back or pierced her skull. You know what I mean? Like it pretty much
Yeah.
Yeah,
that
because
to
it.
me that was the
Go ahead,
line.
Ken.
Yeah, because I think with that line, you could feel that she still had some belief in her but her old religion, and she
Yeah.
hadn't 100% converted to Homelander is, the God. And I
Yeah.
think that's what kind of set him off, and that was it
Yeah.
for her, which is unfortunate. I mean, like, because obviously at every single turn, other than the pillow talk, which is really
Yeah.
like her in private, she made the decision to support Homelander up until like that very last second, and it just wasn't
Yeah,
enough.
and she threw out the little Jesus statue in the trash when she
Right.
Yeah.
was going in. Like it shows
But
like
it's too late at that point, right?
yes, yes. That was her.
Like it, yeah, it's a little thing, right? Is the way that they play on the Homelander Superman-esque hearing and stuff like that, that everybody like in the building at any given point in time is scared for their lives because they know they can be heard by Homelander, including her heartbeat and everything. I think they do a good job touching upon that. And really like shout outs to Firecracker's actor, because that scene that she has with her former pastor, and then you see like the I would say the original and heartfelt breaking down for what she's saying, but obviously it's not because what she's saying is true. It's because she feels so heartbroken about what she has to say to keep this masquerade pushing forward
Mhm.
for the authoritarian threat that is Homelander, that you have to carry his ideas or your life's at stake. It comes down to that. My life's on the line. What do I have to do to survive another day? And I really like that too, when you see how it kind of set up that everybody within the structure that is Homelander and the Seven in that and the government up to this point, they're all engaged in very selfish tendencies. So at some point in time, it's going to work against you. And this kind of goes with the Deep and Black Noir as well, is that they're going to start acting their own ways to get their own steps up. And that's naturally just going to pit everybody against each other. And unfortunately, it's not Homelander is too strong to fall. So all the people underneath him will start to find find their way to get X'd out of the community.
Mm.
Yeah, it's almost just like the natural flow of everything. And to add on to something that you said a little bit earlier about Sister Stage and her payoff, I've
Hmm.
loved getting to listen to her and Stan Edgar just essentially break down what's happening in cause and effect
Yeah.
and how
Yes.
and the
Yeah.
conclusion of all of that, because both of them are in, I mean, Sage is a metahuman, so her superpower is her intelligence, but then you
Hmm.
have Stan Edgar, who has a lot of that, but also with a worldwide view on everything. So it's so interesting to listen to those two characters break down essentially like where the show is going to end, just because of cause and effect. And Stan Edgar has a really cool line where he talks about you could replace superheroes with anything, but at the end of the day, product is always necessary. Now, whether it's athletes, whether it's music, whether it's sports, whatever, there'll always
Yeah.
be these individuals or celebrities that are utilized by corporations and will just end up, and again, not to be tongue in cheek, but again, it'll be a repetitive cycle that just never ends.
Yeah. And two, like, I really appreciate it because I know you and I can talk about a lot about uh, heroes and people with powers that are able to read minds. And I really like what they've done with Ashley's character. And I think she's done a great job portraying the kind of craziness that goes into not just her being able to read minds, but having her have like a second person on the backside of her head. And forming it to the boys universe, making it that crazy, like weird side that only the boys can bring out, but still have the mind reading there. But a lot of times it's in her own head about her past and what she's going through. So I've really appreciated where she's come from season one to right now as the vice president. Um, so yeah, I think that's all been really good.
Well, because to that point, I mean, as far as like mind reading, telepathy, and those type of things, when you get to see that at like on a bigger scale, again, O
Hmm.
Father is like literally like the head of the church. I mean,
Yeah.
now you're talking mass, you're talking controlling the masses. And it's just
Yeah.
always super cool, like we always talk about again with telepaths, like that's, they can literally dive into the privacy of your thoughts in your
Yes.
head. And so it'll be really interesting to see if he ends up utilizing like that power on Homelander, or even if that's his power at all, or maybe he's just
Hmm.
that engaging. But again, like to your point, just like characters with telepathy that can mind read that
Yeah.
in different spots, both very very powerful
Yeah.
positions.
I
And
hope O
like,
Father.
go
Oh,
ahead. Go ahead, James.
I was gonna say,
You're up.
I hope O Father has I hope it's not a power that can uh sort of like get into people's minds, because I think he'd be a more more of a viable threat and sort of a terrifying
Yeah.
individual if he just naturally can talk like that and control the masses without any kind of enhancement.
Sure.
Hmm.
And some of that is shown too in when he talks to Firecracker when she
Yeah.
catches him and he's like, hey, here's like the breast milk from all of our donors,
Yeah.
and it goes to show he's got that side to him where it's like, okay, this guy is somebody you really do not want to fuck with.
Yeah.
Oh, and yeah, I thought they did a great job. Again, Daveed Diggs, from Hamilton to this incredible range.
Yeah. And it's crazy too, because Homelander, like imagine Homelander with the ability to tap into your mind. He can already understand your autonomic nervous system and the way your heart beats and stuff like that, and already tell what your baseline um, fears or desires are through feeling out your heartbeat and the way you're talking and getting to the thoughts within around him inside the building. So like all these things like combined. Go ahead.
I mean, it would be pretty terrifying because
Yeah.
right now he can feel when someone is afraid of him, and obviously he
Yeah.
can feel or hear or whatever that everyone is afraid of him. So if he could actually hear everyone's thoughts, he know just how much he's disliked and hated. I think that wouldn't be good for really anybody. That probably would drive him crazier than he already is. So
Yeah, you take out the whole plan at that point. But
Mhm.
yeah, because you just see like the fear, yeah. And then everybody, and it's funny too, because all he would do would be understanding what everyone's been telling him already. That like everybody's engaged with you. Nobody likes you. Not a single person likes you. And like that might just destroy him. So,
well,
but
you
yeah, I
think
think,
people have been telling
mm,
him that though? Shit sounds like he's surrounded by yes men, though, right? Haven't been that many people that have
well, yeah,
laid
true,
that truth
true.
out in front of him.
That's what
Yeah, but
Firecracker was telling him.
yeah,
I'm the only
Yeah,
one that loves you. They all use you or they fear you.
yeah. I think in and of itself, that's its like own telling way of that's just another person that's telling you everything that their body is not displaying,
right,
unfortunately
right.
for him. But I think a good question is just an interpretation of the powers and the characters that have said powers. I think is a great thing for the viewers to potentially engage in. Who is has the best interpretation of their powers and what they can do within the show. Um, Go ahead.
Jerome, yeah, I want to pose one more question for the team.
Yeah.
Uh, and this is like we can take this in the direction of what would be the most satisfying for us, but who do
Hmm.
we think kills Homelander and how does he die?
It's a great question.
And then I'll go first because I think you have a lot of really good candidates. So you have Butcher, you have
Hmm.
Huey, you have Soldier Boy, you have Marie from Gen V.
Yeah.
I would say I think it has to be Butcher. I think it's
Yeah.
probably the most. I mean, like James said earlier, I mean, this is the leader of the boys. It's their show. It's got to be. It's got to be him, or at least I think that'd be the most satisfying. I mean, Huey
Right.
is essentially the purest character in the show, but
Lost that. He's
there's
lost that in season
Yeah,
Mother's Milk
five.
too. But
it'll
Yeah.
it'll probably be Huey, unfortunately. I feel it's gonna be but who knows? Who knows? I
I,
I personally would like him to be a product of his own destruction. I hope he kills himself in a way. To
yeah.
me, that would be satisfying because
Yeah.
some
I
of
hear that.
the especially the whole gist of the show was when it started, the boys, Billy Butcher and his team without powers going against the people with powers. As
Hmm.
soon as we get Billy Butcher using the powers, the show overall kind of lost me a little bit.
Yeah. I hear
But
that.
then
that's a
again,
great point. That's a
it
great.
shows in as a positive, it shows that okay, this is a character who's willing to compromise his own beliefs to
Yeah.
get to this end. For me personally, as a viewer, for me to empathize or not empathize, wrong word, to kind of root for the boys, like I need them to at least stay true to like some form of code or whatnot. But that could just be the not what the writers intended for this specific character. Go
To,
on,
And
Joe.
I
Sorry.
think I was just
to
gonna say, I just really just quickly to touch on that. I think it could have been better if his powers were just dope, but he just has snakes coming out of his chest, just tentacles. I think that's just like shoot, like for me, that is on like the bottom barrel in terms of powers on this show is what Butcher got in order to fight. Unfortunately, it's just not cool. So I think like you're losing it there and it's compromising. So those two things work each other. Like maybe if it was just cool and there was some sort of interpretation that was unique for him to kind of take on, it might have worked. But to me, his powers are like super weak.
I didn't mind that because Butcher's always been a monster. I know he does what needs to be done, but even the way
Yeah.
that his teammates react to him and view
Yeah.
him, I think he's always been that way. So I kind of like that his powers are just, in a way disgusting.
Hmm.
But James, to your point, which I think is a brilliant point, Homelander losing his powers and needing to live without like his powers would be pretty satisfying as well, because that would bring everything full circle. The
Yeah, for
entire
him.
show, like you said, is built on, I mean, superpowers and powers as product. So for him to lose that, because that's the only thing that makes him super. Outside
We
of
got
without
to.
his powers, he's nothing.
Yep.
Yeah. So
And
then you end up with Butcher with powers, him without powers.
and then Huey
And
can kill Butcher, and then that'll work. That'll work for me.
I think so that we're putting out something different. I think Mother's Milk, and you obviously you throw in his name with Homelander's infatuation. I think pairing those together, I think it would be pretty satisfying for him to, in some sort of way, get the ending in terms of what had happened to his family with Vought and stuff like that. So I feel like that's another potential to pay off. And I think it's good that there's multiple ways that we're all connected to the downfall of Homelander to this point across the board on the boys.
And still playing on James's point, Mother's Milk does
Yeah,
not have powers, which I
yeah,
think makes it the
yeah.
most.
And stay true to that, right?
Yes,
Yeah, stay
yes,
true to
yeah,
that. Yeah.
yep.
So play around with the code, but yeah. With that, we appreciate your time here with us, guys. Joining us for the next segment here shortly with Daredevil. But thank you very much, and we'll get you again soon. Bye.